Hey guys, welcome back to the channel for my review of the penultimate Ninjago episode. We are getting very close to the end, and here's my review of episode 29, Dragon Form. The ninja's allies arrive from all over Ninjago. We see people from Shintaro, Merlopia, the Keepers, and they all receive the distress calls that were sent out a few episodes ago. With their allies present, the ninja are finally able to follow the prophecy and unlock their dragon forms. The ninja use their dragon forms to take on the members of the council, and they reclaim their golden weapons and defeat the council members. Meanwhile, Lloyd, Garbodon, and the Overlord battle on the temple, and then the Overlord reveals that he created the Great Devourer all those years ago. Harubi hears this and betrays the Overlord and redeems herself. Yeah, I hate saying this, but that's pretty much what happened. We'll elaborate on that soon, but for now, the good parts. This episode has the allies of the ninja arrive, and this was a really cool scene, even though it was 100% predictable. We saw so many different characters here, and it gave off a really nice sense of unity and finality. Also, I like the dragon form. It's been something that I've enjoyed in this season, even if it is another generic power. I do like it. I think it looks really cool, and it was fun to see the ninja unlock their forms with the music. The music was fantastic here. I love that angelic, heroic rendition of the overture, and we see each member of the council go down. I really like that they each get kind of a defeat and weren't just taken out by a big energy blast or whatever. Some of these fights were definitely better than others. Cole and Vangelis I especially enjoyed because Cole and Vangelis definitely have more of a relationship than the ninja do with the other antagonists. I also enjoyed seeing the ninja reclaim the golden weapons. This part of the episode really felt like core Ninjago to me. The ninja with new powers, the golden weapons, villains from many different eras of the show. But let's discuss the other part of this episode now. This episode confirms the widely held theory that the Overlord created the Great Devourer. I love that this theory is now canon. This actually happened. This really recontextualizes the first two seasons of Ninjago. The Great Devourer was a villain in the first season, and the Overlord was a villain in the second season. Now it makes everything feel much more connected. All along, Garbodon was meant to help the Overlord return, and the Overlord planned for this by corrupting him in the first place. This really makes the Overlord feel like a much more grand villain, and that everything that happened was by his design. In Season 2, the Overlord says he was planning for thousands of years. And now finally, 10 years later, we know what he meant. I also love the Overlord's monologue as he electrocutes Lloyd and Garbodon. His voice work is great, and I really like the dialogue. This is one of my favorite scenes of the season, up until Ruby is redeemed. Yeah, it's time to address the big elephant in the room. Ruby betrays the Overlord and is now good. And God, I'm so disappointed by this. When Ruby was confirmed to be returning in the season, many fans were rightfully concerned. But ultimately, I think a lot of us were hopeful that the show would do the right thing. Me personally, I feel Ninjago's been really strong in recent years. And I thought that hopefully this season wouldn't ruin Ruby. It sucks to be proven wrong on this. This may sound like an overreaction to some of you, but reviving Ruby for Crystalized is the single worst decision the show has ever made, hands down. It's worse than the love triangle in Season 3. I mean, it's even worse than Nia's powers in this season, which I don't like at all. This feels like a big slap in the face to what Season 8 and Season 9 did. They told the story of Ruby, a villain who became evil because of events beyond her control. And ultimately, she ended up perishing in the same way her parents did. It's a beautiful story. It is really tragic and it's really compelling. All of that is gone now. Ruby's redemption in this episode comes out of nowhere. It's never developed towards, it's never foreshadowed. It instantly happens. It doesn't happen because she feels remorse for her actions. It happens because she finds someone new to blame. It's genuinely awful. It dumbs down Ruby into an incredibly simple character. It gets rid of the layers and complexity that she had before. And the worst part is it's utterly pointless. There is zero reason for this character to be back. I mean, genuinely, what is the story here? Ruby comes back, she tortures Lloyd some more, and then she betrays the Overlord. This sucks. I'm sorry, but it just really sucks that this happened to the character. She and Garbodon were my favorite antagonists of Ninjago, and still are, because they're great in the OD trilogy. But Ruby feels like a shell of herself here. They took all her qualities from the past seasons, made them slightly worse, and there's no real driving force behind her character. Yeah, I feel like I've ranted about this for enough time, but it's really bad in my opinion. And I don't mean any hate towards the writers or crew. They're humans, and they took the action that they thought was best for the characters. I respect that, but I very much disagree with it. I also can't stand that Lloyd repeatedly tries to get Ruby to join him. He spent the last 4 years of Ninjago getting over her and moving on, and all he does in this season is offer her a chance to turn good. Honestly, this might be okay. However, Lloyd rejects any offer by Garbodon to prove he's changed. And that's what makes this so baffling, that he wants Ruby to turn good, but he can't believe that Garbodon has changed. The last thing I want to talk about is how Nia uses her powers against the mechanic, and how the mechanic taunts her for relying on her powers and needing them. And Nia proves him completely correct. This season, by allowing Nia to get her powers back, has driven a stake through the idea that powers don't make heroes. That's a core concept in Season 11, in Season 9, and this season just completely destroys that. As I progress with the video, I've been complaining about stuff for the last 2 minutes. And you'll be surprised to hear that I'm still going to give this episode a good rating. There was some stuff I really enjoyed in this episode, and ultimately, that outweighed the bad stuff, as awful as it was. I feel like the problems I discussed are mostly problems with the season as a whole, and not as much this specific episode. So it's the kind of stuff that will impact my opinion on the season as a whole. Despite the horrible problems this episode has, I still enjoy watching it. And for final thoughts, the plot was, it was mixed. There was stuff that I really disliked, but I also enjoyed the fights. I love seeing the ninja face off against the council, and I really enjoyed seeing the Overlord fight Lloyd and Garmadon. The highlight here was definitely the Overlord's monologue. I really loved his lines, and I loved the revelation that he created the Great Devourer. I will say I was not a huge fan of Mr. F's defeat. It felt very underwhelming considering how powerful he was in Season 8. As for action, all of that was really good. The Overlord was definitely a highlight character here, as was Garmadon, and the ninja, and the emotion. Ruby's redemption, not good. But despite all I've complained about, this episode is still somehow getting a 9 out of 10. I rate episodes based on how I feel watching them. I don't go through each individual plot point and add and subtract numbers based on how good or bad those plot points were. I liked watching this episode. It was fun to see the good outweigh the bad. But the finale might not be as lucky. And speaking of which, this is going to be all for episode reviews today. My review of the series finale, Roots, will be coming out sometime tomorrow, just because I don't want to release it at night today. I would rather release it tomorrow, and that'll probably be my last episode review ever. I don't expect to review episodes for the 2023 series. This was a pretty long episode review. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe, share with anyone ever you know. Share thoughts on Ruby's redemption. I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say about that, and I'll see you guys next time.